War Eagle War Report family, I am your host, C-Dub. We have talked about it all fall camp, even in the off season, but today we preview the quarterbacks, how we think it's going, may even give our thoughts on who actually wins this thing and more. We'll also talk about Harsin's comments in yesterday's presser in today's weekend tailgate.
You are now listening to the War Report Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by
Athletic Architect.
It's your boy, I Jones. Be Will, C-Dog, Mike G. Get ready, sit on back as we bring you the War Report Weekend Tailgate.
War Eagle, everyone. War Eagle. Happy Sunday. Welcome to the latest weekend tailgate brought to you by our show sponsor, Athletic Architects. Please be sure to visit them at buildthehouse.com. If you are a student athlete, parent of a student athlete, related to a student athlete, or just looking to start your LLC, they will definitely help you begin to plan your financial future today. Shouts out to them for definitely being a partner and a sponsor of the War Report. Also, we want to shout you guys out for hanging out with us and supporting us. First off, you're watching, so we want to thank you for that. Here are some ways that you can continue to support us. You know there's some people who aren't watching our content, aren't engaged in our community. Get them there, guys. Do that by sharing this video on social media. Use the hashtag Facebook, Twitter. Get the word out so people can help us grow our community. Also, while you're watching, whether it's live on replay, smash the like button. And if you just so happen to have found our content and you're new to our channel, hit subscribe and the notification bell so that you are alerted when we do go live. All right, tell the people about how you can support us monetarily by becoming a patron.
Yeah, you can come on board as a member of the War Report. It's getting close to that time for football to begin, and you know the War Report turns up. If you don't know the War Report turns up, then you just weren't around last season. You haven't gone back to watch the videos. We're about to get into the meat of this content, man, and you want to be a member to take full advantage of all the things, including stuff like getting free tickets to games. We're going to be giving away the Mercer tickets here coming up very soon. I think we're going to make that announcement next week who won. But we'll be pulling that ticket giveaway this week. But yeah, we're going to be giving away free tickets to this game and every game, but you have to be a member to be able to enter that drawing. Speaking of memberships, YouTube has a new feature in which you can gift memberships to people. And so we're going to have some memberships being given away here sometime soon. But if you want to let someone else get a, C-Dub talk about bringing somebody else into the family, listen. Gift them a membership. Just go in there, click the little button, and you can pay for a membership for 1 month for someone else, and they can get free membership to the War Report on you. If they want to keep doing it, that's on them. But you can invite them to the family here and make sure that they can get membership benefits. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. This show and every show we give away things. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments to be able to enter the drawing. We're giving away a War Report mug sponsored by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. So you guys want to get in on this giveaway, make sure you hashtag get your weight up in the comments there in the chat, in the live chat, and then you can possibly win yourself a mug here. Yeah.
We are less than 2 weeks away from Auburn taking the field, guys.
Yikes.
The offseason is almost over with. How are we feeling with what we've been hearing? In some cases, some of us have been observing some things. We'll get to you in a minute. But how are we feeling about it, man? We about to see some real live action football, y'all.
Yeah. I'm feeling good. I think all football has the longest offseason of any sport. Mm-hmm. So it's a grueling 8 months between, and for some people 9 months, because if your team didn't make a bowl game or they play in early December and you're not seeing football again until September, I mean, it's a really long time to go without football. So I'm happy that it's back. I'm happier that we're in the second year of the Brian Harsin era. And it's going to be interesting to see how this gets kicked out, man. These guys have done a lot of work. If you have not seen our Building Rapport series, highly recommend you go back and watch some of those player interviews. They feel like they're prepared for the moment, and we're going to see how it goes.
Indeed. You was about to say something?
No, I was just saying I'm ready for us to get this thing started, man. I am really tired of people trying to pontificate on things that they have no knowledge of. So I'm just ready to go see the kids prove it. I've been watching so many channels outside of the Auburn space, but just football channels, SEC related channels that have no faith whatsoever in Auburn to be able to even make a bowl game. Now, again, whatever you feel about Auburn and their potential to win the SEC and blah, 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 fine. But just make a bowl game.
Bowl game? Yeah. Listen, did you guys see the link I sent you guys from the Cover 3 podcast?
Yeah.
Danny Cannell, literally.
Danny Cannell hates Auburn.
Yeah, I mean, just I hate name calling, but it was a very uninformed take. Literally,
it was pretty bad when he started talking about the interior defensive line. I was like, did you watch us last year?
What are you talking about? Right? Like, and so I don't like leaving comments as the War Report on other people's content, but I couldn't help it. I was just like, it's pretty sad that a channel with 10K plus subs takes this uninformed. Like, you guys actually have resources.
Yeah. There was one guy who was talking like he knew what he was saying, but
I think it was Fornelli maybe was the one, but Cannell, what got me was he said this man got on this show and said, we don't even know how many of these players want Harsin gone.
Right.
And I'm like, what? Have you been following Auburn at all? If there were any of those guys, they're already gone.
Right.
Yeah, like you have no clue. You just talking to be talking, man. This is why nobody should take this seriously, man. Like I was so mad watching that crap.
Yeah, that may be the best. That may be the best catch we see all year. Wow.
I was saying that one in a legitimate anger, which is why I think I caught it. But I just, man, there are so many. I mean, all three of them, 3 out of the 4 were just like under. And the one guy was like, actually,
dudes, one of the guys said he thought that we were going to have possibly the worst pass offense in the entire league.
You're right.
He put us in the same category with Vandy. I was like, all right,
I was like, bro,
okay,
you didn't watch last season. But again, these are these uninformed people who think, oh, well, Bo Nix left, so there goes any semblance of being able to have a team. Right. Yeah. In our 500-yard catching receiver and Kobe, he's gone. So there's nobody to catch 500 yards.
Reasons that they stated were being gone, Kobe being gone, and D-Rob being gone. So that was like the majority of our pass offense. Yeah. There's no way they could possibly replace
all that mediocre productivity.
What?
Oh my God!
What are we doing here? But like I said, the doubts about the pass game, whatever. It was when he made the comments on the defensive line, and I was just like,
so you really don't
come on,
or just a lack of understanding of the culture that Harsin is building. Like again, you're just reading the tea leaves and just assuming that all right, the players
that's not
don't
even tea leaf reading.
That's literally the best part of the team. Like that must be the strongest unit on the team. You just got on live and said that it's not going to be good at all. Like
it was bad. It was pretty bad. I was shocked at how awful it was, actually.
I bookmarked that. Like, listen, I'm telling that was so bad. If Auburn starts 5 or 6-0, I'm gonna clip that show and we're gonna do a show about their show.
Listen, if we be like, if we beat Ole Miss, we beat Arkansas, we're definitely coming back to that because again, the way they wrote us off against teams we beat last year.
Right, yeah. We're off topic at this point. I just don't understand how these people have so much faith in these schools. We were so bad last year, but you have all this faith in these schools that we beat last year. Arkansas, why is the outlook on Arkansas so fantastic? Ole Miss too.
It's just
same thing. You lost your quarterback.
But their quarterback now was a more highly recruited and was more impressive to most people in his limited time at USC than Finley was in his time here, which I'm not even necessarily disagreeing with, but there's so much more to it.
Listen, but assuming all of them thought
that Calzada, they all assumed that Calzada was the starter. They never mentioned TJ Finley.
So it's not even a Finley thing, man. It was like they all sat there and waxed poetic about how I think the one guy was like, I really think Calzada is. I was like, are you watching the race? None of you guys are watching because there's no way you would say that out loud if you've been watching this race.
Yeah.
You
right.
know he's probably not winning it right now. Like I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll get to him. We'll get to these people.
Well, speaking of quarterbacks, we brought that up. We're actually going to start off actually previewing it because let's face it, we've been talking about quarterbacks throughout this whole process. So why not? We save the best for last. And I think the QB picture or the QB race has become a lot clearer since fall camp began. And I'll be honest, I will go first with this in terms of what I thought would happen up to this point. We've yet to play any football, so we have no idea of how the starter will fare in the month of September. I think that's fair to say.
Right.
The hope is that he fares well, because if there has to be a change, there implies that things aren't going well or as expected. And so I want things to go well. I really thought this was going to be a race where I really feel like the coach was going to do something with Robby Ashford. There will be a package for him regardless because of what he brings to this offense with his athleticism. That's something that Calzada and Finley cannot do as well as he can. But in terms of receiving the main reps, I felt this was going to be a TJ Finley, Zach Calzada battle. And I believe that it was going to have to take Calzada much of fall camp and even part of September to actually wrestle the number one spot away from Finley. That was my thought. I thought that it was a good chance that Finley would start the season. But as the September rolls along, how he does depends on if he gives Calzada an opportunity to show what he can do. And that's where it became a little dicey for me, but I thought it was going to be between those two. As it stands today, and what it looks like is that it's a TJ Finley with Robby Ashford right behind him, and Calzada in third is what it looks like. And so I'm happy for Robby Ashford, because Robbie it appears he has a chance to really get on the field, not as a person who's playing in a package, but hopefully Finley stays healthy. But if we have anything like what happened last year, Ashford has a chance to be the guy. And so I like the fact that I've lamented this all off season. We have 3 quarterbacks, guys, who can get on the field and see action. And for us, for the competition to be getting between Robby Ashford and Finley, I'm excited about where we are. But I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear your thoughts on kind of where we are right now. B. Will, I'm going to start with you because you actually observed practice yesterday. Harsin met with the media, but the practice was open to fans. Media were attended as well. And so you observed some things. How are you feeling at this point as it compares to what you may have thought this race was going to go going into fall camp?
Wait, it was a scrimmage, right? It was a scrimmage?
No. The scrimmage was on Friday.
Oh,
It was on Friday.
Okay.
Saturday was practice. It was actually open to media and some groups of
I
kids
think-
and firefighters, first responders, stuff like that.
I think Harsin said they wanted to kind of address and clean up some stuff from the scrimmage. on
Right.
Saturday.
That's what it was for.
Yeah.
So, unlike the last practice I went to, which was about a week and a half ago, where you saw all 3 of the quarterbacks throwing to all the receivers, this was a pretty clear 1, 2, 3 situation as far as Gariner wasn't getting reps. He was not in the mix necessarily for every drill that they did. And this was, again, groups, kind of each position group doing their own thing. And then some of them would come together to do some shared drills. And in particular, what was interesting was when the wide receivers went with the quarterbacks, and the quarterbacks throw short and throw intermediate. So they're sharing the practice field with the defense. So they're not throwing deep routes. They're throwing short and throwing intermediate. The wide receiver coach is telling the wide receiver that's about to come up what route you're about to run, and the quarterbacks just throw it. All right. It still looks, TJ is pretty consistent short and intermediate. Calzada is not. And that's why I was like, I see it. I saw it last week, but I didn't think much of it. I was like, all right, so it's still early. They hadn't even done the first scrimmage at that point. So I thought we got time to iron this out. But to miss short and intermediate, and that's why part of what happened at that practice was a walk-on linebacker, Jake Levant. He had gotten his scholarship awarded to him, and Harsin made the announcement. The team went crazy, and the audience went crazy. So that was really cool. And he picked Calzada off as the last play of the practice for the quarterbacks, at least the part that was open. And I'm like, man, you're getting picked by like a third string linebacker in 7-on-7s. You're supposed to be vying for the job, but he was getting picked by the third string linebacker in 7-on-7s. And I don't know what more we needed to hear. Really, once Keesaw got up to the mic after the scrimmage and said, yeah, well, Zach's coming along and he's working on some things. We don't have to do too much guesswork with his coaching staff. And I like that. Before, Gus might compliment everybody who got mentioned and then you never see him again, ever. But now when you ask Harsin about what he thinks about a guy, what Keesaw thinks about a guy, yeah, he played really well. He's coming along. He's got some more work to do, but we're going to work with it. It is exactly what it looks like in practice, is exactly what you're hearing when each one of these guys step to the mic to talk to the media. Finley won, and it is overwhelmingly because command of the offense, maturity, preparation, and responsibility, I guess, is the best. And he went through great lengths to describe what type of things TJ has done to make himself the front runner in this job. And it's not, every time he throws, it's pinpoint accuracy. That is not what he is saying. It is not about how pretty that spiral is. It is not about how he, got out of a jam when somebody was about to get him in scrimmages. None of that. It's about mentally how he's approaching preparation and practice and learning and getting along with teammates, correcting people. He gave an example where he said TJ went out there, we're about to do a drill, and the cones were in the wrong spot. But TJ was the one who caught it. So, hey, no, that's supposed to be over there. Let's switch this around. Like, yeah, if any of us, we have worked for places and for people, and people have worked for us probably, right? You value the person who can think like you, who can be you when you're not there. That's extremely important to you. I was working at Auburn, supervising students, and I had my all-stars. I knew who I can lead. Dang, I don't want to be here all night. Who can I make sure is going to be here and take care of this for me? And you've got those people. You know who they are. And for a lot of people, we are that person. You make the work easier on the person above you when you can handle all the responsibilities, when you understand the operation in its entirety, and they don't have to sit there and monitor every decision you make. TJ is now that guy for Brian Harsin and for Coach Keesaw. I understand why he is leading this job, and I fully expect him to be named the starter when they name a starter. I don't think that's it, though. I think Robby Ashford is making probably more spectacular football plays, and what he lacks right now is experience and command, but that's just a matter of time. He was very complimentary of Robby Ashford in his ability to how much he's worked since he got here in the spring and improving and throwing the ball more consistently. And he's been complimentary of him almost every time he steps to the mic talking about what they did in practice and scrimmages. I don't think this is like a TJ's a starter, shut the gate, lock it, pull the screen down, and that's it. It's not. Right now, TJ has a lead in things that make sense for him to have a lead in. For somebody who's been on this campus for 12 months, he practiced as a starter for South Carolina, Bama, 3 weeks leading into a bowl game, was practically getting starter reps all spring. So he's got about, 7-8 weeks of lead in, not to mention whatever he learned of the offense before he actually got to that point late last season.
Right.
Of course, it makes sense that he has more command. Of course, he has a better understanding of the offense. Of course, he knows what they expect. That is not the entirety of the competition, though, because there is time for anybody who is going to be sitting in practice, in the practice room, in the film room, to get a better and better understanding of what they want to do, how they want to do it, and even to see it live. Even if it's not Robbie getting live reps game one as a starter, he's going to get reps. And when he's not getting reps, he's going to be on the sideline, probably phoning in, calling in plays for TJ. It's like they're going to be involved. I don't think it is. We know who the starter is going to be. We'll say this. I know who I think that they will name the starter, but I don't think that's the entirety of the competition.
Yeah, I think that I don't want to crap on Zach Calzada. Like, I think the time that he missed on the front end of the spring was really critical. I think it was more critical than they thought that it was going to be. Yeah. Because when he interviewed with us, he talked about how limited he was they're on the front end of those months. Like literally couldn't do anything, couldn't run, couldn't lift. Right. You know, it felt like conditioning was an issue once we got to summer, and he needed that time. But again, time and time again, we've talked about how critical spring is for guys who are vying for starting jobs. I think there was an overwhelming feeling that based on what he accomplished last year on the field, that he would be able to make up that ground quickly. And I don't think it came happen. I wouldn't be the way from what we're hearing about how Calzada is doing in practice. I wouldn't be shocked to hear that there's something going on that we don't know about.
Well, this is what I want to ask you, Mike, because Robin Powell asked this. Do you guys think it's because Zach is still having trouble with his shoulder injury? Do you think that's a potential factor here?
Yeah, like again, I don't want to speculate about injuries or non-injuries, but I'll tell you what, like a lot of these guys are competitors, and we hear the story a lot where they were hurt and they didn't want to tell nobody.
Yeah.
That they were hurt because they didn't want to lose the opportunity to play. They didn't want to be set back, or they tried to play through it just to find out, hey, man, I'm still hurt. So, you know, it's tough for a lot of these kids to lose a whole year of your life. You know, another year you got to sit on the sidelines. Another year for the next young stud to come in and maybe take the job, right? I mean, it's tough. There's a sense of urgency around a lot of these players to play now because you just never know if you're going to get your shot. And there's always somebody coming for your spot. So Chris Todd told us a lot. He said, listen, man, they're always trying to bring somebody in that's better than you. So I think Zach is a talented, I think he's got a lot of talent. I think he's got the right work ethic. And just for whatever reason, it's not coming together for him for this season, it seems like. But I still do feel pretty confident that based on his in-game experience, if we got in a situation where we needed him, he'd be able to step in and perform admirably. So I get you. You got to win the job in camp. You got to win the job in practice. This is the bottom line. But I still think he's a guy who could step on the field and do some really, really good things for Auburn if called upon at some point. So I just want to make that point about Calzada.
And I want to get into, and we'll show the list of quarterbacks past, present, incoming. We'll look at that and kind of talk about each of the QBs individually. But I want to talk about Harsin's assessment of the QBs on yesterday when he met with media, and let's kind of talk about that. I want to get your thoughts on this, Ike. But let's play the first clip.
But overall, like what we're looking for from the quarterbacks is operation. You know, and that's the biggest thing. I mean, I know everybody wants to see these guys go out there and just make plays, but you have to get the call from the sideline. You got to communicate it. You got to operate. And that's the most important thing right now is what we're looking for. And they did that. So they did a good job with that. Then they made plays. So probably that third series, fourth series, it started to pick up. Tempo picked up. Execution picked up. And I thought TJ did some really good things in the scrimmage as far as just managing the clock and the situations and making sure that we didn't have to call timeouts. So he has a really good awareness on the field. I thought Robbie made some plays, just standing in the pocket and throwing, and made some plays with his feet and getting out and scrambling and making a few throws. Zach did a nice job as well. He moved the chains and scored touchdowns. So all three guys, you know, Holden didn't get a ton of reps in the scrimmage, but those three guys mainly, they all did some positive things that we needed to see from them.
So, Ike, your thoughts about, I mean, again, the more Harsin talks about his quarterbacks, the more we get an idea of what he's looking for. And it's a lot of what B actually just said. He's looking for a guy who has the command of the offense, who's kind of like an additional coach on the field, who understands what needs to be happening at this particular moment in time. But he also has praised Robby Ashford's athletic ability and his playmaking ability. That's not lost on him, but we are getting an idea of what's really important to him as a coach and what he looks for in his quarterback. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that he wants people to be having awareness of what's going on at all times, and being able to execute on those things proficiently, because they do have a pretty extensive playbook. And when you only have access to a limited portion of that, it limits what plays you can call. If your quarterback doesn't know, but 20, 30% of your playbook, then I can't do all these exotic things that I want to do because he can't execute it, right? Like this, having a bunch of people at really great skill positions really only matters if you can get them the ball consistently, or I can call plays to put you all into scenario to be able to do it. But if I have to make that call and the QB's like, what? You have to be able to know that stuff really. And so it allows your offense to get up to speed more quickly when your quarterback understands what's going on. You know, I saw some people kind of making fun of this on in some of the social media areas where talking about, you know, TJ didn't have delay of games, right? A lot of that has to do with, you know, just understanding what the down and distance. I think he was talking, and we might have a clip where he's talking about this. Just understanding where we are in down and distance and what the coach is likely to call makes it a lot easier for you to get quickly into stuff, because you kind of know this is where we're probably going to go. And so, like, when the call comes in, you're already in that mindset and you can go more quickly. You can move faster as an offense when your quarterback has command. And when you get to the line of scrimmage, you can understand what this play is designed to do and understand, man, how they're lined up defensively. This isn't a good look for us. We need to get into something else. And I understand what the better look is for this based upon what the personnel is and the down and distance. Those types of things are things that you can't really teach quarterbacks how to do. On the inverse of that, you can't teach athleticism that Robbie has, right? And so he has the ability, even if he doesn't have the depth of understanding of the offense, to go out and make plays immediately, just off of the fact that he has something that you're naturally born with. You just have that ability. So it does put you in a good position, I think, in the quarterback room. And I've been saying this about the confidence I have in the quarterback room, where I feel as if we have the opportunity to do something special just because we have enough depth to be able to pivot if it isn't looking perfect to begin with. So I like where we are with the quarterback position, and I understand, like I said, fundamentally what it looks like. Coach Harsin and Coach Keesaw want to see out of their quarterback. TJ Finley is providing those things, but he also is complimentary of the fact. I think it's important to note what he mentioned first about Robbie is his ability in the practice and the scrimmage to operate from the pocket, because that's what he wants to see him do. He's like, I know you can run. I know at any given time, I know you can run. I need to know you can operate this offense, though.
Right.
And him being complimentary of that, I think, is important as well.
Good point. Good point. Rick, we appreciate the super chat. He says, word at A&M is Calzada was far more injured than anyone knew, but they didn't have another option. Jimbo may have damaged him out of expediency.
That's a shame. If that's true, that's a shame.
I mean, he was definitely playing hurt a lot.
I mean, yeah, we know
he got hurt in our game, and he played the rest of the season, and clearly needed surgery on the thing that hurt him during that game. So, you know, I don't know if that was a Jimbo thing or if it was a Zach Calzada thing. I do know that he had been injured for pretty much the back half of that entire season.
Yeah, coming back from injury can be a weird thing mentally for a lot of players.
Right.
I mean, I know this is a different.
We talk
sport,
about it with
but
Alan Flanagan.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go with Alan Flanagan, right?
Yeah.
Like, we know he has talent, but you know, for whatever reason, after the injury, it took him a year to get back up here, and we hope to see that on the court this season. I think it might be a little of the same for Calzada. But again, I'm not buying, after what I watched him do in the field last year. I'm just not buying it that this guy is so far behind the other two, you know, from an ability standpoint. I don't think that's the case. But you know, again, you have to win the job in practice. I think Harsin said that during one of these pressers recently. Is that, you know, we can't just disregard the things that we see in practice. Those things matter. Yeah, those things matter. And so we have to go by what we see in practice. And, you know, publicly now we've seen a little bit of how it's played out in some, you know, and some of the detailed things that playing the quarterback position. And, you know, maybe he hasn't looked as sharp, but I still think, you know, in case of emergency, Zach Calzada is not a bad option to have in your back pocket.
Yeah. Before we get to the break and before we continue on with this conversation, what does it say about having a coach who really does major in the details of preparation? And he talks about just the things that he expects to see in a game. He needs to see it first in practice. It was a little irritating last year because there were some guys who we knew who were gamers,
right?
And why they didn't see the field. But when you talk about building culture moving forward, these guys understand what is expected of them, and they understand how this is how I get on the field. I have to be dialed in. I have to be prepared for meetings. I have to be prepared for practice. Like, I have to be prepared because I will be even more prepared in games. What does that say, knowing that we have a coach who's preaching these things to these players?
I think it's the best way to get them prepared to be a professional. Like,
Right.
at the next level, you're just going to be expected to come in and know how to do this stuff. Like, they don't, if you expect to contribute significantly early in your career, if you have to play the catch-up game of how you attend a meeting or paying attention to the details in rookie camp, you're going to be behind the 8 ball with some of these guys coming in, right? And if you aren't already in a position where, from a physical standpoint or from a hype standpoint coming in, you're not one of those guys, then that stuff is going to matter even more to your pro coaches, because they're going to be like, okay, this guy gets it. He understands how to come in here and go to work, because that's exactly what it's a job at that point in time. B. Will just talked about, like, you understand who your workers are, who you can trust in situational places. And as a professional athlete, you need to be able to have your coach's trust. So building that ability or that habit in these young men in college puts them that much further ahead as they try to transition into being professional athletes.
Yeah, and I agree wholeheartedly, because we've seen guys come from programs that are terrible, not good college football programs, even on the lower rung, on the G5 level, but they're like perennial backups in the NFL. And the reason is because they understand the game. They'll be the first guy to coach as soon as he's retired, because if you don't have the raw talent, you had to have something to keep getting on NFL rosters. And that thing that they have is a thorough understanding of the game and the concepts and the work ethic to show themselves prepared to be able to go in and take snaps if it comes to that. Because if teams go, well, I've got however many tens of millions of dollars riding on this guy, if I don't have another stud like that, at least let me go and have somebody in the game who I know is going to do what I think and want them to do. And that's what you can earn yourself a job forever. What's his name? Sean Mannion. I just saw a preseason game where Sean Mannion was in the game. Sean Mannion ain't that good, but he's still in the NFL. Jeff Driscoll, he flamed out at Florida, went to La Tech. He's still in the NFL. Somewhere along the line, somebody teaches these quarterbacks fundamentally the most important parts of playing the game and the most cerebral parts of playing it. They grasp it, they hold on to it, and they've got a job for the rest of their professional lives.
Nick Foles been fleecing people for for a long time.
Nick Foles.
It's a plenty of people been fleecing people. Oh my goodness.
Him winning that Super Bowl is what cemented it. But like, he just been people still believing that somehow Nick Foles is a starting quarterback somewhere.
Yeah, man. Some guys just have the sight. Some guys just have the sight, and they can think their way through the game. Yeah.
Austin Holland says a former QB that Harsin recruited and developed is literally the OC for the Cowboys. Yeah.
Kellen Moore, right?
Great
Another great. Just some guys have the sight, man. They can see 2 steps ahead on the field. They don't need to have the strongest arm because they know where they're going with the football.
And it's a rare combination, though, for them to have the sight and the ability.
And the ability.
Yeah, for sure.
And some people just don't have that ability. But, hey, they know good enough to be able to continue to play the game.
Yeah. The more you understand the game, the faster you can play, and the faster you can play, that puts you one step ahead of the people trying to stop you. And sometimes that can be more valuable than raw ability. I think that a lot of very, very good athletes, we see it all the time, whether it's running or throwing, they rely a little bit too much on their athletic ability rather than understanding the game. Harsin talked about some things, the story about the cones.
Right.
That's not an insignificant story, man. Like, players who have the awareness to understand a situation before you call a play. I will point back to South Carolina of 2020. It never shocks me in end of the game situations that a quarterback goes out and doesn't understand, I have to do this or the game's over.
Yeah.
I will never understand that for the life of me, because I lean back on coaching, first and foremost. I'm like, did you not explain that to him? But it probably helps to Have a quarterback who can go out there who you don't have to tell, hey, don't get tackled in bounds here or the game is over.
Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
actually harken back because he made comments about just the entire team and their awareness. I know we'll get into that, but like I
Yeah,
harken
we
back to
will.
last year with the Iron Bowl with Tank. It's like, hey, whatever happens here,
Don't go out. Don't
you
go
gotta
out.
go down in bounds. Like I don't care if you get tackled for a loss. It's gotta be in bounds.
I know you think you can beat this guy, and you probably can, but stay in bounds.
But at the risk. But if you don't,
Yeah.
we could lose.
Right.
So,
So stay
you know,
in bounds.
Yeah, if that's a gamble you're going to make. You have to win it, or it's the game's over, or we're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
I just think that those aren't, people will hear those stories and write that off. But that what we're talking about, that situational awareness, meant the difference between 2 wins or losses last year.
Yeah.
If you think about it,
For sure.
Iron Bowl, getting away from a punt.
Yeah.
South Carolina.
For sure.
Right. Like, yeah. Like, I mean, we're maybe talking about an 8-win team here or 9-win team with that situational awareness that he's talking about. So I don't think that can be understated.
Yeah.
Well, he said it last year. If we're going to play for championships, everything you
we do matters. Yeah.
it matters. So listen, guys, great conversation. Get people in on this conversation. Not everyone knows it's almost 400 people on. There's a lot more Auburn fans than that. Share this video, guys, on social media. Use the hashtag, smash the like button, help us with our engagement. And for those of you who are new to our channel, welcome. Hit subscribe, though. Hit the notification bell that you are alerted when we do go live. Let's take time to acknowledge our sponsors of the War Report.
This edition of the War Report is made possible by our generous sponsors. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn Sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. Athletic Architects. For young athletes looking to secure their financial futures, let Athletic Architects help you start to build your financial house. Head over to BuildTheHouse.com. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, check out our friends at GWT2Energy.com.
All right, people. Coming up on the season, memberships to the War Report are going to be a thing that you're going to want, because that's where you're going to get all of the prime content that we're dropping for you. The watch the film sessions that we have on Mondays are really the thing that everybody loves, and that is definitely coming back. We're still, for my guy, so we call him Ed Darby, but when he sent his first name is not Ed, his initials are ED.
I used to call him Edie Darby at first.
Yeah. So anyway, you should have just corrected us a long time ago, bro. Anyway,
I didn't really know.
Yeah. So, but anyway, doesn't matter. Like we're for you, my friend, Mr. Darby. We are still working through kind of how we want to present that to y'all, but we will have Watch the Film coming back for y'all coming up into this season. One of the membership benefits is you get the tickets. So if you want to get tickets, we're giving them away to people who are members. So if you want to do that, you have to be a member of the War Report. We'll be making the drawing for that first game here coming up this week. Speaking of memberships, we do have the ability to gift memberships now from YouTube. So if you want to be able to let a friend know what's going on. Now, here's the thing about it. You can't give them to a specific person, but you can purchase free memberships, and then YouTube will utilize that and send out an email to others who may be interested in the War Report and let them sign on for free for a month on you. So you can gift memberships here in YouTube land. So if you want to be able to do that, make sure that you lock in with that. Again, we'll talk about that here more in just a second.
And that's only on desktop. So
Okay.
like if you're on a desktop, you'll be able to see the membership gifting option. It may not show from the phone, but definitely from the desktop. So if you're watching on desktop, you have this option.
Yeah. We're giving away stuff outside of membership giveaways and ticket giveaways. We're giving away stuff every show. You don't have to be a member to participate in this. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments. Sponsored by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. We're going to be doing that giveaway here in just about 20 minutes. Now, we're going to talk more about quarterback here, right? And as we begin this next portion of this conversation, maybe some of you need to go ahead and like get yourself in a good and calm place. And if you don't have the ability to do that, we got a little help for you.
This episode of The War Report is brought to you in part by Rogue Shop. Looking to reduce stress or improve your quality of sleep? Rogue Shop has you covered with a wide range of premium products, including gummies, bath salts, and oils. Go to rogueshop.com and use code RAPPORT when you check out. That way, they know we sent you. All right?
Before we get into the conversation, guys, and again, shout out to Rogue Shop for definitely being a sponsor.
We're gonna
and
have
support of the War Report.
We're gonna have to have Richard put together like a special like QB pack or something. Gummies, yeah, like right, like it's gonna be like 10 milligrams, 20 milligrams. Watching Auburn football, QBs, right? That's gonna be the third level of strength there for that, for them gummies.
Thomas Jones, appreciate the super sticker, sir. Appreciate you, and we see your comment here. He says, with all the negativity towards Harsin, how come no one in TV media mentioned how Coach let Tuskegee use Auburn's indoor facilities for practice because their field was being worked on?
I love that. I saw the story on Twitter because Tuskegee posted it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right. And Harsin could, said, hey, anytime. Like there were also I think we like a high school team or something use the indoor facility recently as well too. Yeah, I saw a couple of that. I love that. I love the sense of community with the schools around us. So,
sure.
Who knows? Maybe even Auburn plays in HBCU more often, or like maybe we play Tuskegee or something. I don't know in football, but I like what he's doing in that regard. I don't think this stuff gets talked about enough.
It doesn't. And it's not provocative enough. Again, we've been trained to see drama,
right?
Like issue. I think that's something that a personal issue I have with society. But anyway, not to get on that bandwagon. Let's get to this comment here. Jay Finch says we need TJ to be a game manager. He's a very smart QB, just isn't accurate. I went to review the tape from 2020 when he started against us in Jordan Hare. He's the same guy. LOL. Nothing has changed.
Okay, so let me talk about this for a second. Right. Again, came in a COVID season, right? No spring. In a program that was flailing so much that they fired their coach. Came to Auburn, missed the spring again. I don't know. I don't think that it's a stretch to think that, hey, man, like the people developing this guy were not doing a very good job up until now. So we've got to get out of this because he's that guy. He can't. That's the only guy he can ever be. If that were the case, man, we wouldn't have the Tom Brady's of the world and some of these guys who got evaluated as maybe mediocre,
right,
and somehow turned out to be really good. I don't know, man. I get it. I get the skepticism until you see him do it. I just don't like the idea that you have to be stuck where you are just because that's what you've done. Right. I don't like it at all.
Or that's because how things were actually at Auburn for a few years.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Like, listen, man, this is the start of a new era. Again, we paid $21 million to get rid of the last guy just so that we could start thinking differently about what you're talking about right now. Well, guys, when guys come into our system, there has to be an assumption. That will be Harsin's greatest mark he can leave on Auburn is that he came in and started developing quarterbacks before change.
Right.
So,
right. And I'm not mad at the game manager comment because again, you do want your QB to have that. You do because to your point, Mike, about 2020 South Carolina, you want a quarterback in there that understands the situation. And actually that leads us to comments that Harsin actually made. You've referenced them, but I want to talk about it. It deals mainly with team awareness for the most part. So let's check this clip out.
Yeah, number one is awareness. That'd be number one, just overall as a team. Running on the field and getting the signal. Right? It's we can have all these systems in place, and I know our coaches do. I know our coordinators do. I sit in there and I listen to them, and I watch how they install the things that we need to put in. And the system is exactly what it should be, but you're dealing with people. So simple things like if you run on the field, you should look to the sideline to get the call. I mean, it's an awareness thing. It's a 4th and 2. You play that different than 2nd and 5. So, as a player, you have to look over there and see it's 4th and 2. You're going to get different play calls. You should expect certain calls in those situations. Even just into meetings, right? Walking into a meeting, right? I think you all know you walk into a meeting and you can kind of feel it like, all right, we're going to be locked in today. You can walk into a meeting and it's a little bit more loose at times, and just some of that awareness that I think is really important for us. I think just as people to be successful, we need.
Again, I think it's great to hear your head coach emphasize these things that actually do play a factor when you get on the field.
Right.
And he went on to talk about he watched some high school football, and he was watching teams burn through timeouts because guys got on the field and didn't have an understanding of what they were doing.
The most frustrating thing to watch, I think, is
right.
You got to call a timeout in an obvious situation, and to throw the players a little bit of a bone back when it comes to this sort of stuff. Like, football is such a mentally taxing game. It's not a wonder that in the heat of the moment, a lot of guys, you forget when you're tired. Right.
Yeah.
And that's why you train hard. You train hard so that in the moment, you don't forget all the habits and protocols that you built in the offseason and practice when the game gets hard and you're tired. I don't know, when they talk about what makes a great habits of great jump shooters, right? The great jump shooters are great because they're great when they're tired. In the fourth quarter, when your muscles are tightening up, right? And when the game's on the line, to be able to calmly go through the same motion when adrenaline is pumping and your mind is racing is something that not a lot of players possess. And in football, you've got to get 11 guys doing that at the same time in critical game situations so that your lineman doesn't false start, or your quarterback doesn't screw up, or your center doesn't hike the ball off his butt or do something crazy, or your receiver runs to the right depth or holds a block or does all the little things that come together when 11 guys are doing the same thing at the same time to make a play successful in the hardest of moments, in the tightest of moments. So this is it again. So a lot of people, this will feel like coach speak, but these are things that this team has been missing in the past. That's why they traditionally couldn't get past 8 wins, and when they did, they still fell short again.
Yeah,
because when the moment required it, right, that repetition just wasn't there. And I think about the biggest moments. We lay an egg versus Georgia in the SEC championship. Of all the Auburn losses, I mean, I was so disappointed with that. You know why? Because I expected it. I was like, we're not going to beat them the second time. I was hopeful, but I was like, we're going, this is the Auburn. This is what we've been under this coach, right? In that national championship game in 2013, they did things in that game they had done all season. And we lost the game. The one kick, our kicker didn't put out the back of the end zone, got returned for a touchdown, right? It's those moments that you train for that may seem routine, because if he puts that out the back of the end zone, nobody thinks anything of it. Just another routine play for a kicker that's done what he's done all season. But it's in that moment, if you're going to be a championship team, where you don't do that one thing that you've done right all the time, that it could come back to bite you, man. And I think it's good, Caesar, to your point, that he's emphasizing that discipline and that detail now, because I think that it just the same way it cost us 2 games last year, it might win us 2 or 3 this year.
Yeah. Yeah. And I expect him in year 2 to not have a lot of patience with the lack of that. I think he expects them, hey, you've been in this system, you've been in this program, you should know what to do. The reason you're on the field is because you've proven through practice, through meetings, that you know what to do.
Yeah, discipline, man. When you're on the line, the game's on the line. It's 4th down, right? It's 4th down, and the defense is jumping. And you know what they want to do when it's 4th and 2, and you're an offensive lineman? They're trying to get you to false start.
Yeah.
And it takes discipline to sit there knowing that on the other side is some, if you're playing Georgia, Alabama, or Texas A&M, some All-American linebacker or defensive end is going to be coming at you. And he's coming for your life.
Yeah.
So when you know that guy is coming, all it takes, one little flinch, you cost your team 5 yards. Right? Now 4th and likely becomes 4th and unlikely.
Yeah.
Could be 4th and inches. Turns into 4th and 5. So I just don't, like I said, I think that it's going to, we saw this happen last year. That's why when we say this team was close to something special last year, there was this stuff that they were missing. It cost us at least 2 games. I'm telling you. It cost us the Iron Ball. It cost us South Carolina. 100%. It almost cost us Georgia State.
Yeah.
And it could have cost us LSU if not for a Herculean performance on a couple plays by the quarterback.
Right.
So I don't know, man. And then when it did come together, look how dominant they looked.
Right.
Ole Miss, Arkansas. This team had stretches last year, I think, again, the detail that he's talking about, think back to Penn State. Your best the receiver, everybody's I've been out of shape in the media about us losing, carrying the ball like a loaf of bread on a reverse.
Yeah.
But the detail of securing the football, he lost that in that moment. It turned into points for the other team. Fumble in our own territory. You're not going to be able to sell to me that this stuff doesn't matter. It definitely matters. When it showed up, secure the football. Did you see the drill that they were doing during practice where they're like, it's punts. They're catching punts, but they're like lying on their back. And then when the punt's coming, they have to get up and locate the ball quickly. Mm-hmm. Essentially, they're back to the punter, lying on the ground. They kick it, and you have to get up and you have to locate the ball. And all these little things that they're doing to teach these guys how to react in the moment, I think it's really going to pay off. It could pay off this year. It definitely could. If all things are equal and just this part of the team is better, Auburn is +2 wins this season.
Yeah.
Easily. All things are equal, right? If we don't get worse in any other area and they're just better at that, what we're talking about right there, they win 2 more games.
Let's good points, Mike. Let's pick back up talking about quarterbacks. Guys, we do have a graphic. And I see Finch, I see your super chat. We will definitely read your super chat because it kind of ties into us getting into talking about our quarterbacks here. So let's look at what we got, what we lost, what we have coming in, who's returning. Of course, returning is TJ Finley, Trey Lindsey, and Sawyer Pate. Coming in, as we know it, Robby Ashford, Zach Calzada, and Holden Gariner. He gone. Cue up the Grant Lloyd jokes. Grant Lloyd, Demetrius Davis, and Bo Nix has transferred out. We do have a quick super chat that I do want to get to from Finch because it's in response to some of the things that you've said, Mike. He asks here, Mike, how much time do you give a QB to develop? I'm tired of having a stout defense and studs at running back and can't produce on offense. I don't want to lose any more winnable games or Eagle. Thoughts on that, sir?
Okay, so I've been of the opinion, I've been very consistent on this, that you got to give a guy time, but you also got to win football games, and you have to be, this staff has to win games this season, right? So last year they got the pass. This year, you got to go out there and you got to field a team that can win. So I personally think that depending on who goes out there, the offense needs to, if you need to be, like when we talk about having a game manager, the question I'm going to have for whoever starts at quarterback game 1 is, are we winning because of them or in spite of them?
Right.
Mm-hmm. If we are winning in spite of our quarterback, which I feel like we've seen that before in the past, you have to be prepared to make a change. You cannot rest on, we won the game, so let's roll the same dude out there. If he's not clearly making improvements, managing the game, doing all the things right, like we don't need Herculean plays. What we need is a guy who goes out there and makes the pass, the play when you need him to make the play. Does the routine stuff excellently. right? And then every once in a while gives you a wow throw or finds the deep ball, right? When your guy's wide open down the field, don't overthrow him. Doesn't sound like a hard concept, right? But if your guy gets behind the defense, give him a chance to catch the ball. Don't throw it out of bounds. That's it. I mean, I think that's what we're looking for here. So that leash is about 3 games, I think, this season, because the first 5 games you get at home, and you've got 3 cupcakes in those first 4. So if you can't figure it out then, what are you going to figure out? Missouri. I'm counting Missouri. I'm counting Missouri as a cupcake, right? Yeah, but like, I mean, it has to look like a well-oiled machine. If it's not, pull the plug and give another guy a chance to warm into the job before you throw him in versus Georgia. Right? I don't want to see anybody go out there and be below average until we get to Georgia, just for us to throw the next guy to the wolves versus those guys. I don't think that's particularly fair. Right? So you got Mercer and San Jose State, man, to get these guys up to speed, which is why if those games are blowouts, what I hope is that the backup gets significant time in the second half of those games. Right. So maybe it eases that transition if you have to make the switch later on. I don't think they did that very well last year.
Yeah. And he says I'm so ready to get past this Bo and TJ era. Well, you're past the Bo era already. But
you don't even know what the TJ era looks like.
You don't. I don't think we know. I mean, and to Mike's point, and I think to Mike's point, Finch, is we have to wait and see how this plays out. Worst case, if TJ is not the guy, we're probably going to be past the TJ era by the time we get to LSU or Georgia anyway.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's going to be this season.
Harsin knows what's expected of him and what he needs to do this year. I don't think that's lost on him. And I think the previous coaching staff was willing to go down with their choices come hell or high water. I don't think Harsin is going to do that. And the beauty of it is I think he has players that he can go to should the guy that he chooses doesn't pan out in games. The other coach, I don't think could say that.
Right.
So, guys, your thought, and let's get to Cleveland. Cleveland said Gus had several years to develop QBs and couldn't get it done. Harsin deserves patience from us for results to show.
That's literally it. That simple. He deserves patience.
You could rewind the speech that Mike gave last time we were on, replace the scenario of Bo and TJ with Gus and Coach Harsin, and it'd be the exact same thing of like, you had all this patience for this previous coach, but you seem to have no patience for Coach Harsin. And I don't fully understand why, absent of the success in year 1.
That's it.
That's literally it.
That's the entire, those warm, fuzzy feelings. It wasn't just that we won those games. We resurrected from a season that was the worst season we had in recent history, Auburn football history. Sure. And not only did we come back better, we did things that nobody in the Auburn fan base would have told you we would have won the games that we won and ended up in the national championship game. It was so unexpected. It was the ultimate FU to all your Bama fans, lauding their national championships. It's going to be 3 this year, or what they do, number 88 or whatever national championship they're claiming for that year if they win it. And it was such a wonderful reason to just shove it in their faces. The real hurt on my Bama family and friends when they called me, like their voice, like they were hurt. Matter of fact, somebody recently published a book that said Nick Saban thought about retiring after he lost that game.
He cried.
He cried. He said he had considered going to the NFL again or something like that. So if it can devastate
what am I doing?
That fan base like that, I know, right? I was like this.
Y'all really want this?
I'm not making good decisions.
He didn't make it. That was on him. So if it can do that for them in a negative way, I know what it did for us in a positive way. The problem is that really was the outlier. That was it. That was the season. It gave us so much hope and belief because the guy was there who architected it. We had seen Gus be good at offense before that year. He was the architect of the national championship team. So you had reasons to believe that this could continue.
We had goodwill from 2010 as well.
Right.
Too.
We had it wasn't just the first season. We were like, oh, he did it then and he did it now. And it didn't even take a Cam Newton to do it now. He must be the guy. So
Right.
I understand why
Not knowing
that
it took
season
Nick
did
Marshall.
so much for people. But you give him long enough, man. I don't think there's any doubt that those 8 years, I was ready to pull the plug out. After 2017, I was telling people, no, don't renew him. In 2018, definitely, I was yelling it from the rooftops.
But you said you was over him after he missed on
Lamar
Jackson, right?
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And it's not like Lamar Jackson, but you went and got somebody who we like a 4-star that everybody thought was going to be great, and then maybe he didn't work out. Like we wanted to go after Francois. Francois was somebody we were after. So if you get Francois, but you don't get Lamar Jackson, that's fine. Tyler Queen. What did you get instead of Lamar Jackson? Hey, I heard you had a chance to win that brand new Tesla. Oh, I decided against that. Oh, yeah, what'd you get? A Geo Metro. How is that helping you? How is that helping us out? We got 2 kids. We got to get in the car. It's a Geo Metro.
He took it back to the Geo Metro. Wow.
Man, come on, man.
You showed your age on that one.
Yes, I am my age. I got the grays.
Early 90s hatchbacks.
But that's really the biggest thing is the feelings.
Funny.
Right. Yeah,
Car, man. It was such a small car.
Yeah, like I mean, that's an insult. Like
It is.
It is. I mean, but look, what did we get from Tyler Queen?
Geo
Tyler
Metro.
Queen.
He didn't even stay
left-
long either.
he
didn't
left
stay
Queen
long.
Auburn.
didn't play a single snap
He
in a
didn't
real
He
stay.
went
game.
to like Division III and played football and then retired.
But he was part of one of them top 10 recruiting classes, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess is my point. I mean, he was one of those guys that was anchoring a top 10 recruiting class. That again, those weren't really top 10 classes. You know, I went back when we were talking about 2013 because I was like, was Trey Mason a 4-star recruit? He was a composite 4-star, but you know, he was below a 0.9 essentially. So he was like the 247 had him as the 262nd ranked player in the country, the 21st rated running back. But like, you're right, there was a lot of just goodwill built up, and I'm telling you, I would rather see a slow build to a consistent winner, a consistent contender, than to blow expectations out year one just to be disappointed that we don't make it back every year. Right. I mean, if you go back and you look at what Kirby Smart did at Georgia, he came there in 2016 or 2015, 16, right? 8-5 year one, and then national championship next year. Now, I don't know that we make a national championship this year, even though I did put some money on that. But ultimately, I mean, they were a regular team that first year.
Yeah.
With some ups and downs that they won 8 games, but they could easily won only 6 that season. If you go back and look at it, like they were nothing to sneeze at.
And we gave them one win with a Sean White who couldn't throw past 5 yards out there, giving them a pick 6 to win the game. I mean,
some of the worst Auburn teams, one of the worst Auburn teams, right? Like, so I don't know, man. This will be interesting to see, but I think he deserves patience, certainly.
So guys, we've been talking about QB throughout the show, but we've mixed in other talking points. How does this conclude going into the regular season? We don't know what the season holds for us. A comment here, I think it's Chris Law. He says if TJ Finley starts the season, Zach Calzada or Robby Ashford will come in about halftime of the Penn State game. Assuming he's and I guess he's assuming that TJ Finley won't do well.
No, yeah, that's exactly this comment assumes TJ Finley.
The assumption is TJ Finley is not doing well and is getting benched. We don't know how the season's going to play out, but going into the season, guys, how do you see this competition? And I feel like we've kind of gotten a lot of clarity about this QB race, but how does this play out? Who's your 1, 2, and 3?
Just real quick on that comment, if it's not working out, that's exactly how I hope it plays out.
Yeah.
I
almost said that verbatim.
Yeah, if he's not playing well, that's exactly how I hope it works out, because that means we still have the whole season in front of us, and we get to see if the other guy is a better option early in the season and gets a serious chance to do that. So, like, I don't see anything wrong with that if that's what he earns.
Sure.
Right? If he earns that, then it is what it is. So,
yeah. And I think he will understand that as well. Like, if anything, he's not tore up about the fact that the coach put someone else in, he's upset at himself for even putting himself in a position for the coach to put someone else in.
Yeah, I think if you're TJ Finley and you get the start this season, right? And if by Penn State, you have at least not given a lot of the people who just feel like you were never going to improve a reason to pipe down, you're probably disappointed. Right? Like you go out there and think about it. After the first game of last season, right? If you were like a bow detractor, you had to be quiet over those first few games. He didn't feed them any ammo over those first 2 games against Cupcakes. Went out there, handled his business, played well, and it was like, okay, we want to see if it's going to hold the rest of the season. But at least, I was super hopeful. I was like, man, did Harsin do it? Is he the guy to turn this around, to get our quarterbacks playing at a high level? But if we get to Penn State and I don't have that same feeling that I had for Bo last year, like this could be it. This could be the year. He's having fun. He's, whatever the saying is, right? Like, I think
he's got that look in his eye.
Yeah, right. Yeah, his dark horse for the Heisman. Like, I just think, think that should be the feeling after these first 2 games if he's taking the step, because these are not good opponents, right? So go out there, be accurate, and show your coach that you have taken the next step. Otherwise, listen, man, Robby Ashford is breathing down your neck, ready to get on this football field.
Right.
So if you go out there and be regular, expected the guy behind you to start pushing the, hey, tag me in, coach.
Yeah, for sure. How do y'all think this is going to play out?
I think TJ's going to keep the job through Penn State, because I don't think we're going to be. I think based on what I've seen, that we're going to be winning some games like 24-21, 24-17, 27-20. I think our defense is going to do a lot of heavy lifting for us, and the offense just needs to be steady. I think that TJ can keep the offense steady. I absolutely believe he can do that. Are there going to be some offenses that challenge us more? Sure. And we won't know that until we go. Like Georgia, you're not going to beat Georgia unless you have a very, very good offense, a dynamic offense. We will find out at Georgia if the offense has an opportunity to be better than just steady. But I don't think we'll know it until then, because we won't be playing anybody who can put up serious points on our defense early part of the season. And I don't think LSU will have that type of offense. Not yet. Their system changeover, coach changeover, roster changeover. Our first challenge from somebody who can really put up points, I don't really know who that's going to be, honestly. But I think our defense will hold us down to the point where, with the maturity that they're talking about TJ having, with the understanding that he does have, with the depth of our skill positions at this point, running back, wide receiver, he can do enough to win us the games that we have at home. All 5 of them. All 5 of those games are winnable. Every last one of them are. I don't think we really find out what we have as a team in total until we leave the Plains in October and go play probably the best defense we're going to play against this season. And we'll see if this offense can be more than just okay. But I think it'll be TJ until then.
Hank.
Yeah, I'm pretty consistent in saying this. I think TJ trots out there as a starter for game 1. I think that Robby Ashford at this point has earned the ability to be the backup, and we'll see significant snaps in both of those first 2 games. And the results of those 2 games will determine what happens with Penn State, just how they operate within the game. I don't see any reason to change that based upon what I've seen and heard thus far in fall camp. I've been saying this since essentially before the bowl game last year, that this was TJ's job to lose. And then you add, all of the things that have happened since then, with Zach Calzada not getting a spring and Robbie having a slower progression to kind of really understanding how to operate within the offense. I don't think that TJ put the gap there where it wasn't within question. He definitely left this as a question mark. But snap 1 offense trots out there. I expect TJ Finley to be the guy.
Yeah. Mike?
So I am with Brian and Ike on what they have said. I don't think this quarterback race is over just yet. I think these coaches have fostered real competition. I think they're actually evaluating. I think TJ has a leg up. But there's something, and this is not based on anything I'm hearing. I have a gut feeling that there's an outside shot. Robby Ashford trots out there game one. Based on the difference in what he brings. And the coaches may be reasoning, hey, do we want to go this direction with the offense or this direction with the offense? Because Robbie is a really, really difficult player to evaluate because one of the strengths of his game, quarterbacks aren't going live. So you don't know. You don't know what he actually brings to the quarterback room. So I'm going to lean TJ with the caveat that I would not be surprised to see the coaches hit us with an Uno reverse card and trot Robby Ashford out there.
I'll say this. I made a comment earlier about percentage of the playbook that you can utilize with a quarterback and their knowledge. There's also a percentage of the playbook that you can utilize because of a quarterback and their ability.
Right, correct. Yeah.
Right.
There are plays that you absolutely just can't call that are in our playbook that TJ can't execute. You just like the plays that Bo Nix ran last year that were designed runs. You're not calling that for TJ. You might call a 3rd and short with a quarterback draw because he doesn't have to get that far. But on a 3rd and medium where you got to get 6-7 yards, you can't call that with TJ. You can't call a design bootleg that has, the intent of which is essentially going to be a naked bootleg, right? Like you can't really call that for TJ unless there's a throw on the back side of that and you're giving him an option. You can't really run a lot of the RPO stuff with him because the run option is going to be a handoff. It's not going to be a quarterback run. So there's no quarterback. There's not that additional, you have to dedicate someone to the quarterback on the run. You can get it every now and then. You might sneak it in there, but it ain't going to be an integral part of what your offense is going to be. So Robbie opens your playbook up to more things like that. And again, as our guys have said in practice, it challenges the defense in a very different way. So yeah, Robbie opens up. So if Robbie is able to grasp the playbook for the other portions of it, which means the operating from the pocket, the situational awareness, and then you add his legs to his ability, it opens the playbook up that much more. So yeah, he's got as good a shot at anybody else. It's on him at this point in time when he gets playing time to go out there and show
it. Yeah. Like they may not give him a ton of passes, but when they do give him passes, he needs to be accurate and really take advantage of those moments because there may not be a lot of them to show the coaches that if I can be a good steward over the little that you've given me, imagine if you gave me the whole offense, right? And I don't think, and this is not to say that, again, we have to get out of the mentality that if one guy's good, the other guy's bad. Right. Like this is not saying, oh, he's going to win it because TJ didn't play well or, it's to me, I think two things can be true. Both these guys can be good in their own way. But the reason why I'm giving Ashford an outside shot here is that it may be what Ike's talking about system and what helps this team the most for what they're seeing in practice. Like, let's say for whatever reason, the offensive line hasn't improved a ton or maybe even gotten a little worse.
You can't put TJ behind.
Yeah. Ashford might be a better option. Rather than putting TJ back there to get hit. Now, if that is the case, I would assume they have a contingency to call the offense differently to get the ball out of TJ's hands to protect him a little bit more. Right. But that sucks too, man, as well, because if you have to throw quick passes against the better defenses, they're going to start anticipating that stuff.
For sure.
And I don't know. I think Robbie opens up the playbook just a little bit. I think any dual threat quarterback opens up your playbook just a little bit more than a pure pocket passer, unless that passer that you're putting back there is one of those cerebral types like Brian was talking about that can think their way through the game and essentially just outthink the defense in any scenario. So if TJ's lining up and he sees what's coming every time, I have no doubt that he can beat any blitz, rush, right? Like if he's there, that's his game right now. Line up, take a look at the defense, go Peyton Manning on them. Right. Tommy Tuberville used to say this. I'll never forget this. We were in our team meeting in 2003 before we played Ole Miss. And he had this thing where he would never say the players. He would just call them by their number. He was talking about Eli Manning. I think he was 3 in college or something like that. But I remember him looking at Carlos Rogers during this team meeting and saying, listen, man, he's smart and he knows where he's going with the football before the ball is snapped. But he also is going to throw some right at you. Are you going to? He looked at Carlos and he challenged him. He said, "Are you going to catch it if he throws it right at you?" Right. And we got. I mean, Eli Manning, same thing. If you think back to that game, he hit a routine pass to, I think it was like a tight end out of the backfield. It went for like 80 yards, and this was the drop heard around the world by Obumanu. But essentially, he gave Ole Miss a chance to win that game. Just by doing the things that Tuberville was talking about. He was just a very cerebral type. Like Manning was a smart quarterback. I think TJ needs to be in that mold where it's not, he may not wow you with a bunch of physical ability, but ultimately, if you can win the game here, you can beat a lot more teams than a guy just resting on his athletic ability. So that's the best case scenario for both, I think, this year.
Agreed. And I agree with you guys' assessment as well on that. It's time to draw. What are we drawing for? We're drawing for a mug, courtesy of GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. If you haven't already, drop the hashtag, and you better hurry because Ike don't wait around anymore. So get in there while you can. Ike, take it away, sir.
94 people have said they want a mug. Only one of you can get it. Again, courtesy of GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. Someone is going to get a free mug, and that person is Kelsey Gardner.
Kelsey, are you here, sir? Let us know in the comments section for sure. Please let us know that you're here. Let's take time, guys. Holler another one of our sponsors. Let's talk about Chill Boys.
Treat your boys. Chill Boys underwear is designed for maximum comfort with enough space to keep you cool, calm, and comfortable. Chill Boys underwear will help you keep the boys close, not too close. When the game is on the line, you won't break a sweat with Chill Boys underwear. Whether it's left boy, right boy, or both boys, Chill Boys provides your boys comfort like you never felt. Maximize your chill with Chill Boys.
Yes, indeed. While we still wait to hear from Kelsey, if he's still here, let's get into some of these questions, some of these comments. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Ed starts off, got my War Report swag this week. From 40 views, 10 comments to now is crazy. Go back and watch that 2019 content, guys. I tempted to cringe. Tempted to cringe if we watch some of our old stuff, man.
I had a loose neck t-shirt on with the Taco Beach short at the top. Like, man, what are we talking about? Don't do it. Don't go look. We're better now.
You're unmuted, Mike.
Don't look.
You got it, Mike? Okay. Men Music says, how is Nick Brahms?
It seems like it wasn't like a secret from being at practice that Nick Brahms wasn't practicing, because when you looked at the personnel on the field, he wasn't out on the field. He was there on the sidelines, and at the presser, Coach Harsin said he's got some decisions to make about his future. The best I could gather from that is that maybe he's gotten diagnosis that makes it possible for him to play late, and he's waiting for additional information on how bad or how extensive the injury is, if playing would make it worse, or if he wants to just say, hey, I'm hanging it up and go fly some planes. But I don't think they have a definitive answer, and I think they're proceeding as if Nick Brahms will not be available to play. That's what I think is happening right now in practices.
Yeah. Heard some stuff. Definitely don't want to confirm or not confirm publicly, but it sounds like, again, there's some decisions to be made there. Certainly. So we'll see how it pans out. He was in my top 5 offensive players. I was looking for him to have a real big season. So hopefully things work out for him the way that they should.
Yeah. Zach says Tank supposedly got a collarbone injury. I've heard that from a couple of places. Whether it's true or not, I'm not sure. Now, Keesaw spoke with media, I believe it was Friday night, and he basically said that, and he was really quick to get ahead of speculation, saying it, they held Tank out. It wasn't that he was injured or anything. He spoke about that. But again, this coaching staff typically tends to stay away from mentioning players who are actually really injured. That's a pattern that I've noticed. So for Keesaw to speak on it makes me wonder if it's really serious or not. But to what Mike said about Nick Brahms, I don't know if we can confirm or deny, but we have heard reports about that.
Yeah, and from what I can tell you, I don't think that they would come out and say it's not an injury if it was an injury, because then you look stupid for, Tank's got to set up the first 4 games. Well, you said it wasn't an injury. So if it was actually an injury, or at least one that was serious enough, I don't know why he would be practicing yesterday, which he was. Right. He was out there taking reps. Like, that was the first thing I was like, I heard that. What? Man, there's Tank right there. All right, everybody, take off your pads. It's time for conditioning. And he's lifting up both arms to take his pads off. I had a torn labrum. Lifting up your arms, if you've got anything around the neck and shoulder area hurt, is not something you want to do. So I don't think Tank's injured, because
unless he had those shoulder pads on from the last time he got injured. And I mean, how did he get them on to begin with?
Yeah. It sounds like something maybe happened during one of these open practices or something, and something got out.
What happened is Tank got hit. Everybody was like, "Oh no, hey, we gonna just chill on Tank for a minute."
Right?
It's like, look, man, look. You can't hit Tank that hard, man. Calm down, bro.
You know how during you and I talked about this. You know how like during basketball games, sometimes a guy will go down, and you'll have that collective moment where like, crap, I hope that's not an ACL, and he limps off the floor, looking like he's not coming back, and then 15 minutes later, he's running back like nothing happened.
Yeah, I think that happened with one of our point guards last year. Yeah, that actually happened.
Yeah, that happened. So that happened in Israel with KD.
With KD. I got terrified. Right, I think maybe it was one of those moments.
Yeah, like it looked worse than what it was. They checked him out, and they was like, "Okay, you're not hurt for real, but go sit down."
Yeah, maybe
he just practice, bro. You good?
He was holding something like a knee or shoulder or something. And people were like, "That's his collarbone." Right, but ended up being nothing. Like I think maybe that's probably what happened there, but he was out there, so it's good to see him out there.
Oh,
there you go.
Hey, but you at the gym though, my dude. Listen, that was
on a Sunday too.
Yeah,
on Sabbath. My guy.
I'm going to the gym tomorrow just because of Kelsey.
All right. Well, you already know what you need to do here, Kelsey.
Me and Ike. Go. You got it, Ike.
Yeah, you need to hashtag email business at the War Report and give us your address, and we will get your merch out to you here. Thanks again to GWT2 Energy Consulting Services for being the sponsor of this giveaway Sunday and every Sunday, letting you all experience. We didn't talk about the other donations that have happened today, but yeah, thank you to TWT2 Energy Consulting Services for continuing to sponsor this giveaway. Kelsey, congrats on your stuff. But
congratulations. Let's keep going with this. Austin Holland says, do you think the quote unquote packages we see with Ashford will be in higher percentage situations closer to the goal line or more in the field, giving him an opportunity to move the offense? Good question. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's a down and distance type of thing, probably. They have certain plays that they'll probably have ready for particular scenarios. I don't know if it's going to just be like a red zone thing. It's maybe like I said, maybe it's a third and short, or maybe even a second and short, right? Like they don't want to make it you have to make it on this play or nothing type of situation. And I think it's going to be dependent upon who we're playing that week too. Like, is this a good change of pace for this particular thing? They're going to throw some stuff out there in that Penn State game. If Robbie's not starting by then, they're going to throw some stuff out there in that Penn State game just to give other teams something to look at and be like, oh crap, we got to prepare.
Yeah, I don't
think we see it a lot in the first 2 games is my point. I think we see Robby Ashford just come in and play quarterback
Correct.
And then
Yeah.
the situational stuff starts popping up at Penn State if TJ is the starter.
Yeah, you're not doing packages against Mercer and San Jose State because
I certainly hope not.
You're evaluating your QB1 for hopefully what is only a half of football, and then you're getting your backup at least a quarter and a half of real playing time. Now, I'm not one of these people that if it's 50-0, that the backup has to go out there and hand the ball off 15 times until the end of the game.
Right.
I don't want those guys. Screw that.
Right.
Listen, it's football. To take this whipping, right, and give these guys who get in second a chance to play real offense.
Yeah.
Right.
In live game scenarios against against the ones of the other team.
Right.
I think it's valuable experience. So what I'm expecting is I have said if we do run packages for Robbie, to me it makes the most sense, similar to what Ike is saying in terms of down and distance, but also situationally in the red zone where the field shrinks inside the 20. So everybody understands you get easier to defend inside the 20 because you have that goal line, the back end of the end zone, as another defender back there. Like everything shrinks and it gets harder to punch the ball in. I mean, our offenses have been historically bad in the red zone over the last few years. So improving that will be about having a quarterback that, again, makes you play 11 on 11. And if you're going to put Robby Ashford one-on-one with anybody on the other team, I'm taking Robbie every time. So having a running quarterback makes people play you honest in a lot of ways. And if you blitz and he is aware enough, he's going to throw a touchdown. If you don't blitz, he's going to beat a man and get yardage. So I expect to see that for Robby Ashford, regardless of how this pans out.
Yeah.
We're still calling you Ed. Ed Darby says, Ike, how important is it for the OC and the guys in the booth to help the QB during games? It seemed last year teams were giving us the flat all game, but we never took advantage.
Yeah. I mean, this is the offensive coordinator is important or we wouldn't have fired him. Right. Like, so, I mean, let's be clear.
He's so important. We got rid of him.
Like, listen, man, it's important. How you call a game matters. Right. And, you know, this was the contention during the vast majority of the Malzahn era was the stranglehold on who was calling the plays. It's not just about having great plays designed in your playbook and available to you. It's about knowing when to call those plays and who needs to be in the game to execute those plays. As far as if it's a fade route versus Penn State, do we have a guy who's good at catching that route? If you're going to call that, and that's where you're going to go with the ball, who's the receiver that's supposed to be in that scenario right there that we're going to be throwing that to? Or is that even our best play to call in that situation?
Right.
You know, if we're going to go for it in our own territory on fourth down versus South Carolina, are we throwing a jump ball to a tight end or to D-Rob? The answer to that question should be no.
Right.
But do we do it? In the bowl game versus Houston, are we running speed sweeps with Shanker in situations that don't make sense? Right? Are we deciding in the South Carolina game when we are absolutely bludgeoning South Carolina on the run with the run game to not hand the ball to Tank or Jarquez Hunter with 7 minutes left in the game? We just decide we're going to abandon the run completely for the remainder of the game and end up losing on a shank punt. Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like little stuff like that absolutely matters. Right. And how you decide you're going to call a game as the offensive coordinator is a big deal. And understanding how people are playing you in coverage and saying, okay, well, let me design something or let me call plays that fit the scenarios of how this defense is playing. Yeah. Got to take advantage of it. If you're not calling those plays, somebody on the field, your quarterback needs to know, hey, man, I know they call blah, 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 but we're going to audible to this real quick and just be in trouble for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, I didn't like that look, and trust the quarterback to call something different.
Yeah. To this real quick, everything Ike said, exactly. I'm more worried about this than I am about players, actually. I'm more worried about play calling and scheming than I am about the players executing. Because I think this is going to be probably, you know, you can have superior athletes and get out schemed. Or if you don't have superior athletes, we're going to have to depend on our coaches to out scheme guys open, scheme receivers open, give your quarterback throws that help him with the game some with the play call. Make a good play call up to help him through the cerebral part of it, and it's going to be really important. So yeah, this concerns me more, I think, than who's playing quarterback, honestly.
Yeah, Ike, you made mention of that tight end sweep. I went back and watched some 2020 Boise games where Keesaw was coordinator, and that was a part of their offense.
Again,
So
I don't have a problem with the play call. I have a problem with the scenario and
when they call it,
who they called it for, the place in which they called it. None of those things made sense to me. Anyway, I don't want to.
Yeah. Chase, he says 5 more gifts dropping soon. Got to get some more green names in here. Appreciate you, Chase.
all right,
Chase
appreciate
threw some gifted memberships out there. So I think there's a couple of people who have already taken advantage of that or had the opportunity to get memberships. So appreciate Chase. You guys make sure that you lock in with him over there at Infinite Auburn. He's got his own channel, a lot of content dropping over there. So you guys make sure you follow him.
Let me say this too, guys. YouTube puts these things out here and gives us shockingly little information about how they work. That happens a lot. But my understanding is that if you are somebody who is not a member, but you interact with our channel at a high level, like you watch and you're commenting and you're liking, you increase the likelihood that these random memberships will go to you. That's how they described it. They were like, people who interact with your channel at a high level but haven't become members yet are the most likely to get selected for these gifted memberships. So FYI, hit that like button, smash that like button.
Corey Weber woke up and chose violence today. Who was better, Tyler Queen or Zeke Pike?
Come on, man.
Tyler Pike.
Don't do that, man. Just these memories of these classes, guys who never contributed. Just such a waste.
I don't know. Those are two very forgettable names. Didn't Zeke Pike get like a public intox or something?
Like, yeah, like he got here and then got in trouble, and that was it. Yeah,
that was it. Oh my goodness. Thanks, Gus.
Isaac Cooper asks, y'all think it's kind of crazy Calzada has dropped to 3rd string? I mean,
I think there's a reason.
I didn't see it happening.
No, I definitely, if you ask me who I thought would be the 2nd string quarterback, I probably would not have named Zach Calzada. Right. But I think, listen, man, this stuff just has to play out the way that it's going to. And I think we've got enough talent in this QB room to be able to do well. And there's a lot of people who are saying that whoever wasn't going to be named the starter between TJ and Zach would transfer. I don't know that that's going to be a reality either. So we'll see.
Yeah. I'm being told that our team is out on a hike with the coach right now. They are hiking. A confidential source told me that while in the woods on this hike, they're going to decide who QB1 is. So I'm imagining
playing, y'all.
A rain dance and a bonfire and some sticks. And they're going to
see the name in the smoke. Is that what's going to happen? The embers are going to like float up and make the name in the air.
A peace pipe. You remember that Chappelle skit? I can't say it on air because it's too graphic, but yeah,
there you go.
That's what I'm imagining.
Jazzy, what's up, peeps? Just dropping in to show some love, fam. We'll be home tomorrow. War Eagle
out there living it. Oh, we seen them vacation pictures. You already there. You out just we know where you at. I see why you're not giving us.
Yeah.
Very jealous of the travels.
Yeah, enjoy yourself, man. Enjoy yourself. Zach asks, you think Holden gets some snaps in our first 2 games?
Hell no.
Nah. I think it makes the most sense for the thing that Robbie lacks that TJ has is command and familiarity. I think it makes the most sense for him to get like whole drives in the first 2 games because that's what he needs. Right, he needs practice getting plays in, helping people getting lined up, and against real competition. Granted, it's Mercer. These aren't all world players, but they're still trying to stop you. They're bodies who you haven't seen. Yeah. So listen, they're going to try to stop you. They're going to present some situations where you have to make accurate throws, where the first thing's covered because they're lined up to stop it, and you have to make an audible to get into a better position. Those are some great points of improvement for Robbie. Great points of practice. That's stuff that he probably won't get if TJ is getting first team reps in practice. So
Yeah.
look, that's a great chance for that.
But if
Yeah,
if he's QB2, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. But whoever's QB2 needs to get as many reps as possible.
Right.
Yeah, it's I look at it, it's not like NCAA where no matter when you play this guy, he's going to do what he does, right?
Right.
It's not like that. Like he has to get and remember, this will be Robbie's first time playing in a college game.
Mm-hmm.
He needs these reps. It's not like he's a known entity who came from somewhere else, but even in that, he has to get acclimated to playing with the other 10 guys. Those other 10 guys have to get acclimated to playing with him. Mike G, you talked with King Dunlap, and he talks about how it is to block for an athletic QB versus a QB who stays in the pocket. Like those guys have to get some synergy with each other. And so those reps are necessary.
Yeah, he said Vic was great, but you never knew where the hell he was going to be.
Right.
So guys are getting holding calls, and it was like, hey, Mike, can you stay in the damn pocket for a second? So we can block for you. I mean, it does get hard to block for a guy who runs all over the place and you don't know which direction he's going. So if he runs away from people, he better all the way run away from because I can only do so much after you turn around and the guy gets in front of me. Yeah. Right. I mean, it's there's only so much you could do. But I think I don't see this scenario where Holden gets snaps and we save Robbie. I don't think you can do that.
No.
For sure. All right, let's get to Steve Bradley says, do you think Harsin will redshirt Gariner? More than likely.
Yeah, he's redshirt.
More than likely.
I mean, we heard the comments that I think everybody's going by what Harsin said in after the practice yesterday, which he gave that statement just offhand as a kind of way to say, listen, everybody's working and getting better. And we acknowledge that. That's really what was the tone of his statement. Was he was like, just for an example, Holden Gariner's out there spinning it better than everybody. I was at practice and I was messaging these guys like, well, I thought it was the wrong person, but it was number 12. I didn't realize till later that was Gariner. I was like, he's throwing better than somebody else who's up for the job. And then later I was like, oh, that was Gariner. And he was throwing better. He was hitting those short and mid passes so accurately. But I think Harsin realizes, like, this is it. This is the improvement we need to see over fall camp. Not because you're about to get the name the starter because you improved, but this is the progression we expect to see from guys in camp. They're starting to get it. They see what we're doing, what the guys in front of them are able to do. They see what the bar is for them to hit. And he's like, okay, I get the picture now. And he's coming on. That doesn't mean he is prepared to start. And I don't think he'll get a chance to start because if anybody gets on that field, it better be the guy who we want to be behind the starter and maybe even the guy who will have to be the backup if one of those guys goes down. Like, it's still going to be TJ, Robby, Calzada, no matter what that order is. I don't think Gariner gets in those games in any game this season, but it's at least good to see that the light's starting to come on for him too.
Yeah. And it's good that you can actually redshirt a guy
and
because you have 3 guys. Right.
Yeah.
You have 3 guys that you don't have to rely on this kid.
This is what I wanted to say earlier about the question in regards to QB development and how long you need to develop a quarterback, right? Like, it's not a number of games necessarily. There's a lot of scenarios that play into that. So I think the question that they were hinting at or trying to get more closely to is not necessarily how long do you take to develop a QB, is how much leash is that QB going to have once they get into the game.
Right.
This Mike's pointed this out. We've pointed this out multiple times. This is really the first full offseason that TJ Finley has had to get a chance to actually develop as a college quarterback. So his leash is probably going to be super short. But what I like about what we're having right now with Holden Gariner is that his expectation isn't come in and play immediately. It's come in and develop as a quarterback and then next year compete for a job. I think he's going to be, if he doesn't get frustrated with who decides to come back and where he might land in the depth chart, he's going to be competing for QB1 snaps next offseason. Right. I think he has enough arm talent to challenge anybody for that. Yeah. And if he's gotten the mental part of that game down from the development of learning the playbook and we've got continuity at play caller XYZ, he's competing for QB1 snaps next year.
Right. And worst case scenario is the guy who's currently in front of him improves so much that even though he's improved a ton, he can't beat that guy out. And in his third year, which will really be only his second year in terms of on-field eligibility, if he takes a red shirt this year, he comes in a super polished, ready-to-go player.
Right.
A la Mac Jones.
Which is what Bama has been doing for years. Come on, man. This is the way to do it. I like this better because I won't be sad if we don't see Holden Gariner next year either because, again, the other guys are playing well, and we could just have an heir apparent that is a foregone conclusion. Like, he's playing he's so polished that, other guys are like, I'm going to come in, I'm going to get in line behind Holden.
And now you got a pipeline, and look
at
what that does for recruiting. And look at what it like. Now I can go there and develop. And the idea is these guys are getting to the league because they're actually bought in and acting like professionals.
Yeah,
right. Because it's not like basketball where you can go straight to the league after one stellar season. Like, you come in and you're a stellar freshman, you still got to go play 2 more years.
Correct.
But if you come in as a polished redshirt sophomore and you have an amazing season, NFL,
go.
See you later.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I just, in terms of recruiting as well, too, start putting these quarterbacks in the league and watch recruiting get much, much easier for you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's hard to recruit against the coach that's put guys in the league at a high level. Right. It's really hard. So I'm excited. Like, God, man, TJ, let's say TJ balls out this year. Robbie takes over next year. Holden comes in the year after that. And then this kid, Posey, right? Comes in. That's how you say it.
Do you say that?
That's how you say it. It's not Posse. It's
where you heard that from?
Posey.
Where you heard that from?
The internet.
How you hear it?
People corrected us the last time. It's Posey, right? So like
they probably didn't go either.
I feel like you pranking us right now. All right.
So listen, just say Posey and
I don't want to say that.
So just say it.
Doesn't
that make you really not want to say it?
Just say
it. Say it. So this Adrian kid comes in and he does a really good job too. And it's just, man, I'm telling you, I just think competition is just not a bad thing. And then the other guys that you bring in, you're also developing them. So if you have one of these guys that just doesn't pan out for whatever reason, injury, just doesn't get it, misevaluation, you've got multiple guys in the hopper that can get the job done. This is what's probably the most disappointing part of reading fan comments right now about our QB race is that everybody's of the assumption it's this guy or nothing.
Right.
No matter what camp you're in, it's Zach Calzada or we're screwed. It's Robby Ashford or we're screwed. Right? If TJ Finley gets it right, then we're screwed. Like, come on, man, dude. We can have. There's possible we can have more than one guy that's improved this offseason.
Yeah. Y'all are wilding in the comment section.
On Broadway.
Tanya Drake says Robby Ashford's auntie checking in. I love your show,
auntie.
War Eagle, back at you.
What's up, auntie?
Auntie here on a Sunday. You got the mac and cheese or what?
Let us
bring
know.
Mac and cheese on a Sunday dinner.
Auntie, thank you for hanging out with us. We got a question from Lutzenkirchen, number 43. How do I become a patron?
Great questions. Listen, I just told you guys before, go to our YouTube homepage, look for that join button. You can now see this if you're on iPhone, although I don't recommend it because iPhone is charging a surcharge. So the memberships will be $2 more expensive. That's not us, guys. That's Apple charging more for payment processing through the App Store. So if you have an iPhone, head to a computer, log in with your same credentials, and put in your payment information, and you can become a War Rapport patron. If you're on Droid, this is a really easy process. You can do it directly from your phone. Again, you can do it from your iPhone. It's just going to cost you a little bit more money.
Indeed. Guys, you got anything, any closing thoughts as we get closer to the season on this QB race? Just want to put a bow on it.
Can we just root for Auburn, man? Can we just do this? Like, I'm a part of a lot of like private discords, and like I said, some of the commentary around these guys that are Auburn men because they chose Auburn is just really disappointing, right? I see a lot of guys just completely shitting on all the hard work that's been happening this offseason, crapping on the coaches, doing all, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. I'm wondering how some people are going to even watch this fall the way they're talking now. And listen, man, on Twitter, my mute button will be in full effect. If some of these things I just can't get with. Can we just root for Auburn this season?
Yeah.
Right? Can we get behind the guy who gets in there and hope he does well, and give everybody a legitimate chance to show that they can do. A lot of people are going to get opportunities this year. And, one of the reasons why I hope we get quarterback together is because I think we have a talented and dynamic wide receiver core. I think the narrative that we don't have any receivers is ignorant. I think it's very uninformed, not well researched. There's plenty of talent in that room. I can't wait to see what these guys can do. And I'm looking for them to prove a lot of people wrong. They just can't do it on their own because they can't throw the ball to themselves. So,
Right.
let's, just want people to root for Auburn here. This is a fan channel. So if you're watching, if Robby Ashford is the guy that trots out there, I just want to see everybody get behind that guy. Right. If TJ is the guy who gets out there, I want to see everybody get behind that guy. And, the criticisms that they get should be earned on the field this season. Right. But we can't hold the sins of yesteryear against them forever. Right. We just have to hope our coaches knew what they were doing in terms of development, and we see a better product on the field this coming season.
Indeed. Well said. I do have one more question from James Jordan here. He says, what about Finley's mental toughness dealing with all this QB battle drama and transfers, not to mention fan negativity? Thoughts, guys? Thanks from Idaho.
I think TJ's using all this to fuel him. He's just one of those kids that's just bro, I don't really care what none of y'all say. I'm gonna go out here. I hearken back to this every now and then. TJ Finley throws a free almost pick six to Pritchett in our game when he was playing for LSU. And he went to the sidelines like he was about to go out there and beat the brakes off us for the remainder of that game. He doesn't really get down on himself in that way. It's just not. That's not really TJ's thing. He is kind of committed to proving people wrong. Mm-hmm. So when he sees this stuff, for anybody, constant negativity gets to you. But I think he just kind of got this mentality of all right, we'll see.
Yeah, listen, a mental toughness is something that you just have to have no matter what it is, right? So whether it's fan negativity, which is always going to be there, unfortunately, the internet has given a megaphone to a lot of uninformed opinions, right? So ultimately, the players do hear it, but if you're going to be the guy, you have to be able to block that stuff out, both on and off the field. So this is important. I'm not worried about. If fan negativity is getting to our quarterback, then he's not the guy.
Correct. Right.
Yeah. Fan negativity is getting to him. He's just not the guy. So I would just say that's not something I'm going to worry about because it'll show up on the field pretty quickly. When you throw an interception, you have to forget that thing and go out and play the next series. Right. But if you're out here listening to what people are saying on social media right now, I'm not a big fan of any of these guys, any kind of two-way interaction on social media with any of these guys. Right. Because, most of the fans interacting with them, just some of them are just low class and dumb, honestly. And it's not, I don't think putting yourself in a position as a player is smart. Right. Because we all know, since we've been running this channel, we can get 150 when we started this, 150 positive comments, and it's the one negative Nancy that sticks in your brain. I think it's human nature, right? So limit the amount of that stuff that you hear and focus on the positive, and that's the best policy for any of these guys.
Well said, guys. Good conversation. Ike, tell the people what they need to know as we head out.
Yeah, once again, become a member of the War Report. If you're already a member, gift somebody a membership and throw an extra $6 out there and tell somebody else about the War Report. Let them take advantage of membership. You got to be a member to take advantage of a lot of this content that we're going to be dropping, including being able to get tickets to the games for free on the War Report. We've already paid for the tickets. We just got to get them in your hands. So if you guys want to be able to do that, you have to be a member. But yeah, we do have the ability to gift memberships right now. Shout out to our guy Chase for coming in here and dropping that on a couple of people. Hopefully you all will get some benefit from that this month.
And Ike, the game is, we're inside 2 weeks. So we're going to draw for this Wednesday to give whoever wins time to make a time time to go. So if you are a member, it is now urgent. If you want to be in this first drawing, you need to be a member by the Wednesday night show, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. So Wednesday, we're going to draw.
We are the War Report, the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. Oh my goodness. I can't believe I forgot to say something about this. I was supposed to tell you guys. I'm gonna come off the thing so I could here.
Wait, I don't even know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about we launched our new website, man.
Oh,
yeah. You guys go hit
about.
thewarreport.com. We launched a new website. If it completely crashes, it's because too many people got on there or something. I don't know. But the new website is up right now. If you go to thewarreport.com, the new website, we've been working on this website for way too long, man. I am not a web person, but shout out to my guy, Ken, man. Kenny he actually did the web design for this, man. He did an awesome job. But the new War Report website is live right now for you guys to go and check out, man. It's awesome. We're going to have new content dropping on there where we're going to be doing maybe some articles and stuff like that, man. But yeah, shout out to that, man. And speaking of the website, you can go, if you didn't get a chance to win merch today, you can go to the merch store right now. There's a shop link still on there for you to be able to do that. But it is thewarreport.com, man. Go check that out. And very excited to announce that that's happening for us. But what I was saying was that we are the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. You can see us anywhere that you have podcasts. And yeah, man, that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, the website is going to be really important. Like, listen, you guys all ask about ways you can support us. One very, very simple way you can support us is hit the website every single day.
Yeah.
Click a link.
For sure.
We're going to have it set up so that you can get to the show through the website as well, too. So make the warreport.com a regular part of your daily. 2 hits a day from everybody that watches us is an incredible amount of support that you can offer our business. If you can't become a member or give super chats or do any of these other things. So it costs you nothing to just visit thewarreport.com, click on some stuff. We're going to give you guys real incentive to go to that site as well too. There's going to be some great content up there, but if you want to funnel through the website to all our content.
Indeed. And we'll probably start putting some stuff up here with our IG and things of that nature. So guys, there it is right there. That's what it looks like, guys. If you go to the website, that's what you will see. Don't it look nice? It's beautiful, quite beautiful. Don't you agree?
Yeah. That's Coming to America reference.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just had to flex one time, but
yeah.
No, for sure, guys. Definitely share this video that you're watching right now so that other people can get access to it, access to the conversation, join in. Smash the like button before you get out of here, guys. If you're new to the channel, we welcome you. Hope you enjoyed what you saw. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. If you want to interact with us on IG, Twitter, Facebook, you can find us at The War Report. We are TW Report on TikTok. That's it for now, guys, but we definitely have a lot of exciting content coming your way this week as we get closer to the season, so stay tuned. But until then, have a great rest of your weekend, and as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.